A very good afternoon. Thank you so much for staying with SABC News. My name is Liabo Setho, and this is your Money on Market Sense, where we look at your personal finance issues, and a little later on we will be looking at SME, where it looks all things small businesses. Financial advisors are concerned that the proposed amendment to the Private Members Bill will erode the value of the pension fund investments and lead to members incurring more debt. This bill was proposed by the Democratic Alliance, who assist those who are facing financial difficulties due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The objectives of the bill is to amend the Pension Funds Act of 1956.
South Africa has a poor savings rate, with the household savings rate currently standing at 0.2%, and only about 6% of South Africans are likely to retire comfortably. Pension funds have not been performing well over the last 10 years and have had low returns. Exacerbating the problem is the fact that many people do not preserve their pensions when they change jobs. This is likely to lead to many not having enough money when they retire. And this will put a strain on the state, as many of them will be forced to rely on the old age pension grant sponsored by the government. Now there are fears that using pension funds as a guarantee to secure a loan could worsen the situation.
There's a very small proportion of money actually sitting in these funds. So if they allowed this as a guarantee, it wouldn't create access to huge amounts of money.
What it means is that members will struggle to actually make provision for their own retirement, which is a huge problem we're currently facing anyway.
Currently, members of the pension fund are allowed to use their pension as a guarantee to do home improvements or borrow against their home loan. Now, with the new proposals, pension fund members will be able to acquire unsecured loans as well. This could lead to members paying high interest rate. And if you have a poor credit record, the chances of securing this loan could be slim.
What it means is that if you allow members to access unsecured loans at high interest rates now, they are borrowing from their future retirement savings.
If you default on your loan, the financial institutions will recover the money owed from your pension fund, and you will also be required to pay tax.
So a very simplistic example is if you owed 80,000 Rand and you defaulted, they might need to draw 110,000 Rand out the fund to pay the tax.
If you are already in a difficult financial situation, taking additional loans might just worsen the situation. Experts have some tips for those who are facing financial difficulties.
Tighten the belts. See where, as a member, you can cut out on your spending or expenses and write it out.
Experts agree that taking an unsecured loan and using your long-term savings as guarantee is likely to further erode the value of your investment, and that this should be done only as a last resort. The bill is now open for public comment. Naledi Matlapeng, SABC News, Johannesburg.
And it is now time for SME On Point. Today, we are 26 weeks into lockdown, and from level 5 in March down to level 1, SME On Point has given exposure and featured 26 small businesses, and we hope that you've enjoyed it. We've learned a lot about their challenges. We took time to understand their business strategies better. We proudly showed off their craft, but most importantly, we brought them to your TV screens every Friday without fail, especially at this time when we are all trying to make sense of the COVID-19 pandemic. With their stories, we aimed to inspire you to start your own business, and we hope this has worked. Thank you so much to the 26 business founders and leaders who trusted us to tell their story. We hope that playing our part as the SABC in giving them exposure will give them the courage and energy to help rebuild South Africa's economy. Behind you, or on your screens, is a montage of all the entrepreneurs that we featured during this time. And now we are featuring our 26th business and the first under lockdown level 1. This week, we meet Palesa Khobane, the founder of Zhua Accessories. She says the lockdown levels have taught her valuable lessons business-wise and that will help it improve. This is her story and it is edited by Mangoba Nkosi. Palesa Khobane started Zhua Accessories inspired by an old woman at an intersection. And being unemployed, she decided to take the bull by the horns and start her own business.
I got to the stop street and the lady says, "Then please, can you just buy this keychain just so I can get home?" So I was like, if Mama can stand in the sun trying to make a living for her kids, what's stopping me? I got home, I was like, I'm starting a business. I want to work with beads because that's what I like. But I don't want it to be the conventional beadwork. I want it to be funky, I want it to be quirky, I want it to be bright.
Khobane hand makes each piece of accessories, with earrings being her speciality. She says heritage has always inspired her pieces with a strong focus on Africa.
As a creative, it gives me, again, the opportunity to be able to work with the various beads, with the various colors, and speak about being an African. So whether the beads in a specific culture mean love or a letter or reverence or whatever the topic may have been, I always try and bring that out in the pieces that I make.
With the country being in lockdown since March, Khobane says she was scared for her future and that of her business, but the demand from her loyal customers, who she calls Zhua Queens, kept hope alive. But throughout the lockdown levels, she has learned a lot.
I had a reckoning where I realized that my business is actually a luxury. When it comes to with everything that's happened, people are now having to choose bread or beauty. So I had to realize that I need to be a need and no longer a want. I need to plan ahead. I can't rely on just the one shop. I need to be able to spread my footprint and say, okay, I've got 6 other shops. How can I get them operating? And also my assistants. I've got ad hoc assistants that help me. So now I'm thinking I really need to make it more permanent and give them work all the time.
Khobane encourages those entrepreneurially inclined to start with what they have and never wait for a perfect moment.
During the lockdown, I've managed to have some conversations with other aspiring ladies, and they're like, "But I don't have this, but I don't have that." And I said, if you've got a product, you can take it out to the public. You can take your product to a potential investor. And then they see. But if you're working with, "Oh no, I had this idea and I wanted to do this, but not quite," use what you have. Use the resources that you have. If you've got a friend in marketing who can say, "No, Tommy, take a picture like this," or lie down on the ground and be a cameraman, take advantage of that. All the other things will come as you are getting along, but you need to start.
Liabo Setho, SABC News, Johannesburg. Thank you to Palesa Khobane for sharing a story with us. So remember that we are on SME on Facebook under SME on Point. So despite us being on level 1, now many entrepreneurs will have no option but to close down their businesses. This is with the ravaging effects that COVID-19 has had on the economy. Formal employment may not be an alternative for many. Starting again is the only choice available for some of these entrepreneurs. But where do they go and how do they start this? So we chat to our virtual guest, Alan Reyes, who's the CEO of Reyes Corp. He is no stranger to SME on Point, and he will tell us how you can start. Hi, Alan. It's good to have you on SME on Point again.
Hi, Liabo. Nice to be here again. Thanks for inviting me.
Alan, given everything that we've been through, from level 1, I was just telling everyone that we have featured 26 entrepreneurs since lockdown levels started in March. It's not surprising that some others did not make it and they've had to shut down. Share with us your experiences on the ground. You interact with a lot of these entrepreneurs. What have you seen?
Thanks, Liabo. Well, we're currently working with about 500 businesses right now that we are incubating across the country. And it's been very interesting that on average, most of them, in fact, just under 92% of them have actually come back with a vengeance. They've changed their strategies, and they've come back with a vengeance. My big issue for me is what happens in this time, and in fact, all entrepreneurs who are watching know this point is where you want to give up. If you look at we hear the statistics of 96% of businesses that shut their doors under normal circumstances, forget COVID. But when you look at those statistics deeper, 90% of them wake up one morning and say, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So for me, the big emphasis is pushing people through that dark moment to the other side.
Let's talk about those who close voluntarily. You know, what has been your experiences with that? Is it a wise thing to say, you know what, I think I want to give up for now. I really want to put the pens down and everything down. Do you think it's a good strategy when you do see that things are not going well and you might end up in trouble in the long run?
Well, you know, when it comes to business, particularly small business, I'm pro-life. I'm about pushing forward.
Yeah.
And I always say to entrepreneurs that you need to ask different questions. And for as long as you can ask different questions and come up with different answers, you carry on, you push through. The literature and those 26 people that you interviewed on your show will all tell the story about the moments that they want to give up, but it's about pushing through. That's what we've got to do. So I would not recommend closing down. Right. The only time I recommend closing down is if you can ask no more questions and get no more answers. But even now, it's about thinking about who's the new who, like who's the new possible market, what are the new processes I require. What's the new where? Where is that market? And just start looking a little bit more broadly.
Yeah.
I love the story about one of the businesses we're involved in who was in a very, very bad situation and then realized with COVID that he wasn't restricted to South Africa to sell his product. It was a bookkeeping service. Yeah. And then he started calling the UK market just randomly, like literally cold calls. And he got through to eventually to one. And now it's a huge, huge part of this business. He is now nearly 60, 70% higher revenues than before COVID. And COVID gave him that opportunity.
So it's a gamble that actually paid off. I've got about 2 minutes left with you, Alan. Won't you give me your, say, top 2 tips that a person can do not to give up? Where should they really start if they have reached that point?
So I run a little game with the entrepreneurs who want to give up called Past Me Co. versus Current Me Co. company. So I say to them, if you were a person starting out in your industry today and you did a competitor analysis with your current business, what would the difference be? And let's list those. And then they go through, well, the current Me Co. has got clients, has got contracts, has got experience, has got all these things. Yeah. And the past me, in other words, like if I start again, I don't have those things. Yeah. And then you realize in doing that actually how much you've actually built. And it's amazing if you take somebody through that or that person does it themselves, how they start to realize, my gosh, I've actually built a lot. It's actually not worth giving
up at that time. Alan, I will direct entrepreneurs that regularly watch us from our Facebook page to your Facebook page and all your social media so that they could contact you if they have run into trouble. But listen, thank you so much for availing yourself at all times for SME On Point. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, that was Alan Drace. He's the CEO of Race Corp, and he was chatting to us about why you should not give up if you're an entrepreneur that has run into trouble with your business and that there is still hope. Well, that is all from SME On Point for this week. But listen, don't go away because Tash is coming up next with Books on Point.